G'day. Is it possible to see every 2025 F1 race for under $40,000? You bet. I've done the research and this is what it looks like. I've priced up two options, one from London and the other one from Los Angeles, and I'm going to start with airfares because it is the biggest cost out of everything. Let's kick it off with the London flights, and the first race is in Melbourne. You're going to need to get from London to Melbourne for that. Now what I've done here is I've gone to Google Flights and I've simply put in the rough days that you'll be travelling, and I've picked the very first option, the cheapest option it's thrown up. And for your first joint, it'll be on Air India, economy of course. It's about a 23-hour trip. That's the first leg of three, the next one being Melbourne to Shanghai, because we're back to back, and that's on an airline called Hainan. Never heard of them. And the third leg of this multi is back to London, and this time you're on two airlines, Air China and then Shenzhen. That's a minimum 18-hour trip, and those three flights in total, 1,780 Aussie dollars, roughly 1,130 US. Your second trip away will involve a triple header of races, starting off at Suzuka in Japan, and the closest airport to Suzuka is Nagoya. You'll fly KLM to Amsterdam, you'll have a 3-hour layover, then you'll change to China Eastern, you'll head to Shanghai with a 4-hour layover, and then on to Nagoya. On the Monday after the sensational Japanese GP, you're back out at Nagoya Airport, this time heading to Bahrain, but it's a long trip. You'll be going via Incheon, then you've got nearly a day layover, changing airlines to Royal Brunei with a stopover there of 2 hours before getting off in Dubai, and then you've got an 8-hour layover before heading off to Bahrain, which is only a short flight. And that one is on Fly Dubai, and I rate Fly Dubai. I really like them as an airline. I had to price all of this trip's airfares as two separate lots, so 2,100 Aussie, about 1,400 US. After the Bahrain Grand Prix, it's off to Jeddah. Normally it's a simple couple of hour flight, but cheapest way to do it here is via Riyadh on Flynas with a 3-hour layover. Now I've done a bit of research on Flynas and it's not good. TripAdvisor rates them 2 out of 5, and here's what people say: the worst airline, worst ever flight experience, bad people, bad service. They are the worst. Poor and bad airline. Sounds like you're rolling the dice with that one. But the good news is that once you've seen the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, you have a direct flight back to London, Gatwick to be exact, via Wizz Air. And that'll set you back 560 US. Oh, and at this point, if you're looking for a calendar with amazing F1 pictures from last year in and the year 2025 dates, this is the one for you. You'll find that at kimellman.com, where you can also order my F1 photo books. Mini coffee table, special edition, plus individual books about every single race. You'll find a link in the description for the shop at kimellman.com. This year, the Miami Grand Prix is the standalone race, so you'll just need a return fare from London to Miami. I've got you on North Atlantic, UK, 9 hours 22 Miami, 8 hours 40 on the way back. And for that, a mere 680 Aussie, 432 US. Next up, we have a triple header, Imola, Monaco, and Barcelona back to back. The closest airport to Imola is Bologna, and Ryanair flies there direct and at the lowest price. Going to Nice, there are very few direct flights, so you'll be going via Rome with ITA, and after the Monaco GP, Nice to Barcelona with EasyJet before heading back to London, Stansted Airport on Ryanair. Now, one thing to note here is if you go and have a look at a lot of these booking conditions here, you'll find down here, first check bag 32 to 100. So at the end, I'll include an extra component for luggage because I think you'll have to budget for that. Canada's a standalone race, so you'll need a return fare to Montreal. Lufthansa is your best value with a 1-hour stopover in Frankfurt, and on the way back you'll be going direct with Air Canada, which is an airline that does cop a lot of abuse from the Canadians. They're clearly not enamoured with their national carrier. Austrian Grand Prix is next, and ideally you'd fly into Graz, but there are no international flights of any note, so you'll be going to Vienna, 2-hour flight with Wizz Air there, and on the way back a one-stopper going Transavia. Never heard of them. A leisurely 8-hour layover at Paris's Orly Airport and then flying back to London Gatwick with Vueling. And you'll pay a mere 225 Aussie, which is 143 US. The next race is Silverstone, but because you're based in London, there is no flight component before we head off on a double header going to Spa and Budapest. Now, I put in Liège as the destination, but there are very few flights going in there, so it kept spitting me out to Brussels, and you'll be heading off on Brussels Airlines. Good airline, flown them a couple of times. And then Ryanair from, get this, Brussels South Charleroi Airport. I bet that catches a few people out. They're probably heading off to the normal airport, but no, you'll be going from that one to Budapest with Ryanair, and then heading back to London via Heathrow on Air Serbia with a 1.5-hour layover in Belgrade. You'll pay 600 Aussie for that, 381 US. And then you'll have some time at home with your family before another double header with Amsterdam, your first destination, Wizz Air again to Milano, and then Ryanair back home to Stansted for a lazy $581, or in American money, $370-ish. Now we get to some of the more expensive flights, heading away from Europe, this time to Baku. A one-stopper from Stansted to Baku, stopping in Istanbul for a couple of hours. From Baku, we go to Singapore, and on this cheapest flight I could find, you'll be going 3 different airlines. Azerbaijan, Fly Dubai, and then Emirates. All good airlines, but I don't think you can go past Emirates. And from Singapore back to London, you'll fly 2 airlines, one of which I've not flown before, Oman Air, for the final 2 legs, and the first leg is on Malaysian. $1,270 for that. Just 2 more sets of airfares for you from London, with the next one being to Austin, flying American, with a stopover in Dallas. The flight from Austin to Mexico City is only a few hours, tops, but with this cheap flight, you'll be going American via Dallas with a 10-hour layover overnight, getting you in at about 10 a.m. the next day. And you'll be heading home with Iberia via Madrid, a trip of about 15 hours. 2336 Australian, 1480 odd US. This year, the Sao Paulo Grand Prix is a standalone, so you'll be heading off from Heathrow via Lisbon to Sao Paulo, about 15 hours in the air, and then returning after the race, once again with TAP Air Portugal, same route, for a total of 883 US. And then we finish off with a triple header, heading to Las Vegas first. You're going with JetBlue, good airline, I like them a lot. From Las Vegas to Doha, it's a fair hike, although this is a pretty quick routing with Alaska. A quick stopover in LA before a long, nearly 16-hour flight to Doha with Qatar, one of the best airlines in the world. Now, I've picked you flying out of most places on the Monday after a race. That's the case here, Doha to Abu Dhabi. This is one of the most expensive legs that I take all year, and you can't actually see the price mixed up in this, but trust me, for an hour flight, it's way overpriced. You're going with Etihad economy, and then finishing up the season heading back via Istanbul to London Heathrow. That's your most expensive series of flights, $2,216 US. And what is the grand total for all those flights? Just over $11,000 US. But if you're traveling out of LA, you're going to pay a lot more. Let's start it off with LA to Melbourne with Fiji Airways with a stopover in Nadi. Melbourne to Shanghai, you go China Southern with a 25-hour layover in Guangzhou, and then head back to LA with United on a direct flight. Total for that, $1,275. Triple headers next to Nagoya from LA. You'll be heading off with Korean Air with a short stopover in Seoul, then a 2-stopper via Manila and Dubai with Philippine Airlines for the first 2 legs, and then Gulf Air. From Bahrain to Jeddah, you'll be flying Flynas, and coming home with Turkish Airlines with a 7-hour layover in Istanbul. One of your cheapest flights of the year will be Miami return for just $236 with Spirit, with layovers in Atlanta. Next up, it's a triple header heading to Bologna first via Heathrow with a 6-hour layover. Bologna to Nice with ITA via Rome with, unfortunately, a 12-hour layover, and that's overnight. Nice to Barcelona is easy with EasyJet, and then from Barcelona back to LA direct with Iberia, just shy of $1,400. $360 will get you a round-trip flight to Montreal. You'll go WestJet there with a 16-hour layover in Toronto, and on the way back with Air Canada with a 7-hour layover in Ottawa. Next up, it's your first European jaunt to Vienna, then London and back to LA, with Austrian the first leg, Austrian the second leg, and United back to LA. I flew TAP Air Portugal last year, and I thought they were okay in business. In economy, I'm not quite sure what to expect, but you'll be going via Lisbon from LA to Brussels. After that race, you'll be heading to Budapest on Ryanair, and then coming back via Warsaw with a 19-hour layover with the Polish airline LOT. My wife said they were excellent in business class. She said it was one of her best flights in Europe last year. You're heading back to Europe again to Amsterdam, and this is interesting that they'll allow you to have a layover of just 49 minutes in New York, travelling JetBlue. After the Dutch Grand Prix, you'll head to Milano, EasyJet, direct flight, and then home with 2 airlines, Vueling and Iberia, with a 2.5-hour layover in Barcelona. There's no doubt that Baku is one of the toughest races to get to and from, but you'll be going Turkish Airlines, which have some very good pricing, a 3-hour layover in Istanbul, $2,270. After that, we go to Singapore. You'll have a 1-stopper from LA to San Francisco and then on to Singapore with United and coming back that exact same route. I reckon that's pretty good value at $800 US. A little bit closer to home, you'll be heading off to Austin for the US Grand Prix, going with Delta, and then Viva from Austin I'd be interested if you've flown this airline to see your comments below. I did have a colleague, an F1 photographer friend, who took that airline thinking he was flying into Mexico City's major airport. It doesn't go there. It goes to this airport, which is some 40 kilometres away from Mexico City. And that is an eternity in Mexico City traffic. And on this $482 multi, you'll be heading back to Los Angeles once again with Viva, but from Mexico City's main airport. And your final jaunt is a bit of a monster. You'll be away for just about 5 weeks. You'll be going LA Sao Paulo with a one-stopper via Houston on United. And on the Monday after that race, you go to Las Vegas, a one-stopper via Houston with United. And then you've got a couple of weeks in Vegas to enjoy yourselves before you head out after that race to Doha via LA with Alaska first and then Qatar Airways. Short hop with Etihad for the last race of the year to Abu Dhabi, and then heading back to Los Angeles via Turkish Airlines with a 2-hour layover in Istanbul. All up, you've spent just over 16,000 American dollars to do all of that travel. That's about 40% more than what those from London will pay for the airfare components, and a lot more travel. That's just one component of many. Let's have a look at accommodation. To find pricing for this, I simply went to hotels.com, put in 4 dates, in on the Thursday, out on the Monday of each race, except for Las Vegas, which is a day earlier, and picked the very cheapest property I could find. In Melbourne, it's the ADA Homestay, $214 for 4 nights. In Shanghai, this is the cheapest you'll pay all year. It's crazy money. $49 for 4 nights at this hotel in Pudong. Japan's often a drama with accommodation, and case in point here, yes, it's reasonably cheap, $213, but look at this, 30.73 miles from the circuit. Bahrain, great value, $195 at the Oyo 120 Concorde, $161 in Jeddah, and look, you even get 3 beds for that and fully refundable. Miami, yeah, not bad value, $266 in the Eco-Share Paradise. Something a bit rustic, if you like, in Imola, but once again, 25 miles from the track for $183. Monaco, where you can pay $5,000 US plus per night for a hotel room, you'll save a fortune by staying in Nice. Yes, it's 16 miles away, but this is the Hotel F1, $209. Barcelona, $440 for 4 nights at the Rooms Balms. Montreal, $336, gets you 4 nights at Hotel Arena Palace, Montreal. Now, Spielberg is the second most expensive place for me to find accommodation for you. This is the Jufa Hotel, a total of $931 for your 4 nights. Looks all right. And for Silverstone, the cheapest is the Luton Townhouse near the airport, $202. But you are 29 miles from the track, and a lot of you don't speak too kindly about Luton. Spa is tricky when it comes to accommodation. Remember, I'm doing these bookings on February 13, so I'm 5 or 6 months away from the race, and the cheapest I could find was the Hotel Berghoff, 25 miles from the circuit, $251. Budapest, always good value and pretty good options there. The Hostel New Colosseum's $193. Stoke Travels Amsterdam Camping, $236, 11 miles from the Zandvoort circuit. In Milan, the Idea Hotel Milano San Siro, $413, and that actually looks like a reasonable property. And the second cheapest you'll pay all year is in Baku, $63 for 4 nights, fully refundable at the Sovet Hostel. I was actually considering booking a night there and doing a video for you to show you what the very cheapest option for accommodation is traveling the world. Maybe I'll still do it. Oh, now Singapore here. This is interesting. $405 gets you 4 nights at the Pod at Beach Road. This looks glorious. Admittedly, you're only getting a bed in a box with some common facilities around it, but it looks nice. I may go and visit that one when I get to Singapore later this year. Austin is horribly expensive for good accommodation, but for $451, you'll get the Motel 9 University downtown. And once again, see that? Fully refundable. Not very often properties anywhere near a Grand Prix will allow you to book now and cancel closer to the date, which is always a good strategy if you keep checking back and find that their prices drop. Here's another super cheapie in Mexico City, $104 at the R&A WTC. Crikey, Sao Paulo's good value here too, fully refundable at the Oyo Hotel, $80. In Vegas, you'll stay at the Strat for $460. Second last race of the year, you'll pay just $162 for 4 nights at the Al Muntaza Plaza Hotel before you head to Abu Dhabi for the final race. And I've got you staying at the Rove at the Park for $200, is it? No, put my glasses on, $366. But it's 50 miles from the track. 50 miles! But it is cheap. And it's cheap by reasonable factor too, isn't it? A couple of $100. If you tally up all of those 4-night stays around the Grand Prix, it comes to a total of $6,583. But that's not all. That accounts for 96 days of accommodation, but you're going to be away for probably 150. So I've added another 30%, brings your total to $8,560. Now, of course, you're going to need to pay for some extra luggage because a lot of these flights don't include it. So I've suggested, say, 20 flights at $100 each. There's $2,000. Transport in the cities you're going to, be taxis, buses, trains, let's put in $1,500. That's only $10 a day. Phone and data, yeah, let's put $1,000 down for that. Insurance, about the same. Food and beverage, let's put it down as $35 a day, times 150 days away. So $52.50. Sometimes you'll be eating at places like In-N-Out, very cheap in Vegas, or hawkers markets in Singapore. Other times you might go out for a splash-up meal. And tickets to the races. And this is where you may be well surprised. So let's go to the price of ticketing, starting from the very cheapest race. And this is for a 3-day ticket, whether it be general admission or a grandstand. The cheapest ticket you'll find this year is in Japan, just $104, followed by Azerbaijan, $120, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Qatar, $175, Austria, Monza, Australia, about the same, Bahrain, $200, Spain, $203, Canada and Belgium, about the same, Monaco, $250, Sao Paulo, $287, Singapore, Netherlands, Mexico City, around the same mark, Imola, $370, just about the same as China, Abu Dhabi, $395, Austin, $400, Great Britain, $511 United States dollars, Las Vegas, $600, and the most expensive race, can you work out what I've not said yet? It is Miami, $650. And when you add all those up, it's just shy of $7,000. Let's have a look now at the total cost for you spending nearly a year following 24 F1 races. If you're doing it from London, it works out at $1,600 US a race. Total $38,383, £30,500. And if you're coming from Los Angeles, $43,186, which works out at $1,800 a race. This is a very expensive sport if you want to see every single race. I see all races, and I don't do it the tough way because trust me, if you're going to be doing these flights with 15-hour layovers some places in economy with airlines like Air India, Flynas, you aren't going to be arriving feeling as fresh as a button. I want to know if any of you have done every race in a season. If you have, please email me, kim@kimillman.com. I'd love to hear how your travels went traveling all over the world following this most amazing sport. Now, I need to thank a handful of my subscribers. What about these people? Thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. And for a whole lot of extra content, merchandise, race-by-race guides, head over here and have a look at this lot. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate. Eater and a one-off. You can put those prices up on screen with a ting.